Hello, hello, my name is Lindsay Brown. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to talk about a speech that I gave at a local demo just a few nights ago. And I made this speech all about what is it we want, okay? What is it exactly that we want? We need to be telling the government what it is that we want. Now, I'm not saying they're going to listen, but we do need to be clear on our objectives of what we want. So I just pulled out a few here that we can discuss today. Now, I always start my speeches off, and I think it's very important to start them off with gratitude. Gratitude for everybody that's fighting for their country, fighting for their future generations. I think these are absolutely amazing, and it's just so heartwarming when you show up at these things and there's so many other people there that know who they are and want to fight for what's right. You know, there is a wee saying, and I'm going to get it wrong. I get all these wee sayings wrong. You stand for everything. You stand for nothing. Okay, so I think it's very important to know who you are and stand for what you believe is correct, right? And that's literally what we're doing. So what do we want? We want respect. Okay, now respect, it does work both ways. There's no doubt about it. But our government should be respecting us as a community, as the people that they're supposed to be looking after. And from my own personal experiences, our government has never respected me in all my life through their education systems and all the rest of it. You know, telling me I wasn't smart enough because I couldn't go to university. You know, you're never going to make it in the world, just settle yourself. Well, I was bored then, so I settled myself with a load of drugs. You know, I had to take accountability for that. Of course I do. I'm not blaming everybody. You have to take accountability for your own things. But if our government were actually respecting our communities more, then maybe a lot of us wouldn't be going down a path that we're going down. And while we're continuing to be told that we're second-class citizens in our own country, then that's not respect. So we're willing to give respect to a government who we believe is truly doing their best for us. And unfortunately, there's none of them doing that at the minute. So we're ready to give you respect whenever you're ready to give us respect back and do what is right for your own people. You know, I'm sure there's plenty of people out, or maybe even listening to this, that give to charity. You don't see your kids sit and go hungry while you're giving to charity. You pay all your bills and sort everything else out you have to do, and then any remainder you maybe give to charity, right? And so we're not saying we don't want to help other people. What we're saying is when we're fulfilled, then whatever's left over we can help other people with. And until our governments start to do that, then to me they're not showing us any respect at all. And it's hard to give respect to people that don't give you respect back. It's just the way it is. Now, we want fairness. We also want fairness. And fairness is looking after your own people, just like everybody in their own homes do. You know, our government is the head of the house, right? The government's the head of the house. So they should be looking after their own. It's only fair to look after your own people first. It's their past generations, their grandas, great-grandas, whoever, grannies, all the rest of it, that have paid into this government for donkey's years, generations. So of course it's only fair to look after your own first. Like I said, you would not starve your own child and give to a charity. You would make sure that your home is dealt with first. And even in your own self, you make sure that you've got everything you need, because when you have everything you need, that makes you stronger. And when you're stronger, you're able to help people, more people. Our government are now actually hurting more people than they're helping, because I actually seen an article today, and it was a refugee was assaulted by one of these I think it was I don't want to say somebody come across the boats or on the thing, but somebody who I would call not a real refugee, an economic refugee, right? That they don't have come through 10 countries to get here. They're here because they know they get the best benefits. Well, they're now actually hurting the legitimate refugees. This guy apparently attacked a young girl who was a refugee, a legitimate refugee who our country say they want to help, and who, quite frankly, I would like to help. People that are genuine, okay? But, you know, things need stopped to start with. But anyway, listen, that's a conversation for a different day. He was put into jail, I think, for 12 days, and then he was let out again, and then he done the same again to another girl. So our government, to say they're being kind and we're helping all these refugees, no, you're hurting some of the refugees, some of the legitimate refugees you're now hurting. So not only are you hurting your own people, but you're hurting the people that you say you want to help, right? And really you should want to help your own people first anyway, right? But you know, I think this was a Ukrainian refugee, you know, who have been coming down south of Ireland, over in England and all the rest of it, and has been fine. Because like I say, we're not really bad people here. We genuinely want to help, but we don't want to do it at the expense of our own future generation's safety. So what else do we want? We want housing for our own. We are noticing that there's not maybe just one unit in an apartment block. It's all the units within apartment blocks now that are being filled with these men. These fighting age men. Okay? And when you have a load of men living together like that, you know, you can understand that they're bored. And what does that lead to? It leads to committing more crime. It leads to more gang involvement. Right? It leads to more drugs. Certainly did for me. Because like I say, the education system done a job on me. I thought I wasn't good enough. I wasn't smart enough. So by early 20s, I was bored. Because I didn't have a purpose in life. So these men are all sitting there with no purpose in life. They're sitting there all day. And it's causing more trouble. Like, I just don't even get why our government can't see that. Well, they can. They probably don't care. And what's happening then is that these landlords are buying up the houses and the government are paying for them. So not only are there, you know, we can't win either way. We just want affordable, because that's putting the prices up for our own people. We just want affordable housing for our own people. That's it. A roof over their heads in their own country. That their families have been here for generations and generations and generations. And you know, I love it whenever the people come on and they go, you're a planter, you're a planter. And you don't know anything about my family. You don't know anything about my family. So you don't. And a lot of families you don't know anything about. You're just shouting out stuff that you've been told to shout out, right? That you've been brainwashed into. But you haven't got a clue. And you just make yourself look stupid. But anyway, that's another subject for another day. So many ways these conversations could go, isn't there? Because there's so much to talk about. Anyway, what else do we want? We want good healthcare. We want good healthcare. We've all been paying into this for a long, long time. Again, generations. We want good healthcare. And so what they're doing is they're growing the community. But they're not actually putting any more money into the healthcare for us. You know, we see that doctors come out to think that they do some sort of strike or something along those lines to say they'll only take a certain amount of patients a day. Yeah, well, you bring more patients, but then you reduce the amount of patients. What do you think's going to happen? Like, this is so common sense. It's so ridiculous. There's no resources for the staff, and we're finding longer waiting lists. I mean, this is just, if you want to say you want to bring all these people in, well, then you got to make sure that you're bringing them in somewhere that's that can actually handle it. But you can't even handle your own. You can't even organise it enough to handle your own people. So what are you doing by that? You're letting your own people down. It goes back to that respect. How can we respect you when all you do is let us down, government? So we want healthcare. We deserve a healthcare system that actually serves the community in a timely manner. And, you know, I love the way, and I'd love the lefties to be listening to this, because I don't think there's anything on there that they wouldn't want. I mean, if you're a lefty and you have kids coming up, or, you know, you want an affordable house for them, don't you? Don't you? Right? You've got maybe elderly in your family. You want healthcare for that elderly, right? So, you know, this is not, you have a government, you want respect from that government. I don't know, we'll go on through, but I don't think there's anything in here that the lefties wouldn't want as well. Children's safety. Well, we've talked about that yesterday on a video, that they turned down the play parks policy that was going to be to make the play parks safer. Well, we want our play parks safer. Now, somebody made a good point on one of mine where they said, well, that's more control, and I get it. We don't want to have security walking around the parks, but unfortunately, that's where we're at. Unfortunately, that's what we're at. I would love the kids to have the freedom that we had and not have security, but I would rather security than kids getting attacked. I mean, down in Dublin, there was a wee boy nearly stolen, right? Guys, you know, so again, I can't see. Then we talk about children's homes. Again, no matter what side you believe you're on, would you not want our children in children's homes to be safe? You don't want these grown men coming in and pretending they're kids and putting these kids at danger. These kids are going through a hard enough time, obviously being in a home, right? So don't, and even if there is actual genuine kid refugees that are the appropriate age, you know, would you not want safety for them as well? But what's allowing to happen is these men are coming in and pretending they're nothing age. Like, did you see that one? A guy saying this missing 17-year-old. The guy wasn't 17. There's no way. Looking at that picture. when I say that boy was 17, this was in the south of Ireland, right? So is it too much to ask for the safety of these children? And that leads us on to schools. The teachers aren't equipped to deal with all these different languages. The teachers aren't equipped to deal with the trauma that maybe some of these kids have been through. Because I'm not trying to say here that some of these kids haven't been through trauma. They have. But the school's not equipped to deal with it all. They're barely equipped to deal. Look at the damage they've done on me. And I know there's good teachers out there, and I know there's people out there trying to do their best. But unfortunately, with the resources, time and energy that they're given, they can't do the best job that they would even like to do. So our schools need better funded. And that leads me on to actually a different part. Because if our schools aren't funded properly, then our young are going to come out without the skills that they maybe need to create a brilliant life for themselves. And so I want the money, time and energy put into those kids to show them their strengths, so that they can come out and get a job in what they want, or maybe even start their own business. You know, wouldn't it be great? Kids coming out of school with some business skills, teachers really focusing and pulling their strengths out of them and encouraging them to be their best versions. Teachers don't have time for that because they're too busy dealing with a load of languages, which is then taking time off kids. I mean, we all know that in some of these classes there's special teachers to help other kids. Well, we need that for our own, and we've got it in some places, but we can't have that stretched as well, because we understand that some of our kids need extra help as well. So that's taking that away from them. It'd be great if we had all the resources in the world to help all these kids out, but unfortunately we don't, and our own are being affected. They're coming out of school and they're maybe believing that they can't start their own business because they weren't, their own strengths weren't pulled out of them. And what does that think about for our next generation? You know, our schools are shaping our next generation. Our schools should be the heart of the future, right? They need well funded, and our kids need a fair shot to learn and grow, to build a strong future for themselves. Well, I would love there to be more investments and grants for young kids, late teenage years, coming out of school and being able to start their own businesses. Because what that does is that generates more local business. That generates more jobs, right? That generates more wealth for these communities. At the minute, kids are still being taught if you can't go to university, you can't make it in the world. Well, that's just to grab more money off people. I would love them to be encouraged to be able to do what they want to do and start their own businesses and help their own communities, because they're going to feel awesome. They're going to feel awesome by doing that, right? Imagine getting up and knowing you're running your own wee business and knowing you're giving back to your community. That's going to raise people's spirits and make them proud of themselves and make them more invested in our country. You know, I told this story because I always like to have a bit of fun in here. But, you know, as kids, we used to go to our local shop. And I'm not suggesting the kids are doing this today or that they should do. But if we wanted ciggies and we were underage, we would have said, oh, we want it for Mrs. such and such. Oh, we need Regal because that's Mr. such and such. And we're over to the shop for our neighbour. The guy in the shop knew what everybody smoked because it was a local community. Now, we did sort of chance our arms a wee bit with that. But, you know, my friend done the shopping for our neighbour, an elderly woman. She went round every week and done the shopping for our neighbour. The guys at the shops knew that my mate was there for a list for the neighbour. All the neighbours knew each other. The shop assistant knew what the neighbours needed, their usual day-to-day stuff. And even now today, when I walk to my local community, the guys, you know, you smile at everybody, you say hello, and it's lovely. And people, I guess, from a lot of these middle class and upper areas, they don't understand what that community spirit's all about. They don't understand that feeling, and we do, and we want to protect that feeling. You know, I seen something the other day, and it was that we can't even smile at people anymore because some of these migrants that are coming across, they think if you smile at them, that's you giving them the go-ahead to get more involved in you. Well, that's, for us, it's not. For us, it's just how we do. We just do. We smile at people and we say hello as we walk them past, whether we know them or not. It's that sense of good community spirit that we all feel. And are we going to have to stop that now because we could be leading somebody on? That's not right. That's not right. We don't want to be like these upper class people and not know all their neighbours, right? We love that sense of community, and I think we need to protect that a lot. You know, these local businesses are creating jobs And you know, they're the ones that are sponsoring your local teams for the kids' local football team or whatever else it might be. So guys, these are the things that we want. And I love you to comment, do you think I'm asking too much here? Or are these things that you would want on both sides for your future generations and your local communities? Like, share, comment, and let me know your crack.